Hello there, gamerinos and gamerinas. Welcome to UnicornStorm. This is Rady, and today I'm taking a look at Forest Farm VR, a virtual reality farming game set in a forest. Yeah, what you see is what you get with this name. Now, I am a sucker for farming games, so much so that I actually like 3 or 4 of all the thousands out there. Yeah, there once was a time where this was actually a niche genre, when there were only a handful of games of that genre, stuff like Harvest Moon and its sequels, I guess. And those games had a small but dedicated fan base, and deservedly so. So much so that the genre slowly grew and ventured into other settings, even joined forces with restaurant managers and the like, and now these farming and farming adjacent games are a dime a dozen, with most of them being at best mediocre and utter garbage most of the time. Sadly, this game isn't one of the success stories. In Forest Farm VR, you take on the job of the kingdom's main farmer. It's your job to grow crops and raise livestock and feed the people of the kingdom. And to accomplish that, you have a small selection of tools. A shovel to dig out your fields, an axe to chop some wood, a pickaxe to destroy rocks and mine minerals, a watering can, and a fishing rod. You can fulfill some simple requests from the people around the forest, or get on farming and expanding your little ranch. You can either buy furniture or build it yourself from all the resources you forage. You can craft potions, buy or capture animals and imprison them in your barn, feed them and have them grow big, making them more valuable. And of course you can buy seeds to plant them, grow crops, and sell the produce for profit. So on paper, this doesn't sound so bad, right? Yeah, on paper. Let's start with addressing the elephant in the room. Now, I'm no graphics snob. I don't need the highest fidelity visuals as long as the art design is interesting or fits the tone of the game. Well, in this game, the art design is all over the place. The low poly style itself isn't a problem, and since this is a non-violent farming game with zero stakes, the same goes for the short draw distance. But why are all the humans these simple, non-textured models, but the mushroom dude is highly detailed in comparison, and the animals are photorealistic models? Why does most of the environment consist of non-textured surfaces, but certain walls do have textures, and so do the trees, but not the rocks? It seems like they just bought some random art assets and threw them together without any sense of consistency. It comes off as incredibly cheap, but at least there's some consistency in that, because so's everything else. Trees grow inside rocks. You run into glitches and even crashes all the time. Interacting with anything is janky. And the menus are extremely clunky to use, and everything has to be done manually. I mean, look, when you open the menu, it's like a physical object that just stays wherever you opened it. And it is so impractically designed that it is in your way or blocks your view when you need to interact with it. Like whenever you want to put something into your inventory or take something out of it. If you want to grab your seeds or crafting resources, you have to do so one at a time. And when you harvest your crops, you have to put them one at a time inside your inventory. And to sell them, you have to take them back out one at a time. And on top of that, everything is extremely basic. You don't tend to the land, you don't raise livestock, you don't become acquainted with the townsfolk. All you do is performing incredibly simple interactions without any true decision making or consequences. After planting and watering seeds once, the crops just grow and let you harvest multiple fruits that all each sell for more than the single seed has cost. You don't have to fear losing your crops, you don't have to account for, well, anything. You can plant your seeds anywhere and there's no stamina system, so you can chop wood and mine crystals and fish as much as you want, so you will never run out of money or resources. A while ago, I played another VR farming game called Across the Valley. Made a video about it. That one was a lot more limited in its scope, but it did all the farming aspects better. You had to actually use your tools in the correct manner. Correct according to the rules of the game, of course. And if you didn't, You ruined your crops, resulting in a meager harvest. Same was true for handling your animals. You had to carefully tend to them, shear them if necessary, feed them and keep the barn clean. You had to return each morning to your fields and tend to your crops. It had this methodical routine and nailed this rhythm you want from farming games, just in VR. This game here has nothing of that. It offers you more freedom but drops all the complexity. Crops grow instantaneously and chickens just poop out eggs every 5 minutes, so you don't take your time with your farm. Instead, you're constantly performing extremely simple, though janky interactions to generate money at high speed. Your tools never deteriorate, but they have a leveling system attached to them, so the best way to level them is not working efficiently, but going out of your way to keep using them. Why should you use the sawmill to turn your logs into planks when you could instead just continue to use your axe and level it up further? Especially since then, you don't need to haul all your lumber over to the sawmill. Your fields don't disappear after harvesting the crops, but why should you reuse them if you could just dig up more plots and by that level up your shovel? I think the game would have been better with a day and night system where you have to sleep to have things progress, or a stamina system that prevents you from just grinding out any of the mechanics. Or maybe just have things on a timer. Why do I only need to water my crops once? The game should require me to return to my crops after a while and tend to them, repeating that process for a while before I can finally harvest the produce. That way there would be a reason to expand the farm, create different plots and all that. But as it looks to me, the game is just comprised of the most basic systems and mechanics needed for a game to function. It's a physics demo and a VR demo. You can look around, grab things, drop things and tap things with other things. The game never asks you to perform a more complicated action. There are no rules or requirements to learn anything about the mechanics. It looks more like a training project, a learning experience. How could a young developer use these simple mechanics to make a game out of them? Have water pieces produced by the watering can, and when they come in contact with a planted seed, they transform it into a plant. Have every animal want for a certain kind of food, and whenever it is dropped near them, they absorb it and grow bigger, like they are scaled bigger. This game appears barely more sophisticated than an asset flip. No visual consistency, no mechanical depth, no polish. But sold in the online store for $20, so it's even more expensive than the 2-year-older PC version without any improvements from the looks of it. Yeah, running around in VR is fun, but there are a bunch of better alternatives out there. A good-looking walking simulator, like an actual walking simulator that doesn't even try to tell you a story, would offer you more and justifies the VR environment better than this game. Normally I'd say that there's hope that more complexity could be added in over time, but this game originally released in 2021, so I wouldn't keep my hopes up. Sorry, but this isn't a game I can recommend. I'd rather go back to Harvest Moon on the Super Nintendo, that was a lot more immersive. Nonetheless, have an awesome day. This has been Rady, and I hope to see you again on the next game.